You know, there are some races where coming in second place is still a huge achievement. This is not one of them. We're diving into a world where second place isn't just a disappointment, it can be a multi-billion-dollar failure. This is the incredibly high-stakes, high-pressure race to launch a new drug.
So, let's just get right to the heart of the problem. Imagine for a second that you've spent years, maybe even a decade, developing a groundbreaking new medicine, but you're about to launch it completely blind. You have no idea when your competitors are hitting the market, where they're focused, or what their game plan is. So, what do?
All right, let's dive into a real-world example that shows you exactly what this looks like. We're looking at the intense battleground for the primary immunodeficiency market. This is a super complex and fast-growing area of medicine.
Now, to really get what's at stake here, we need to understand the condition itself. Primary immunodeficiency, or PID for short, isn't just one single disease. Nope. It's a whole group of over 400 rare, chronic disorders where the body's immune system, its own defense force, is basically broken or missing a key part. So for patients, these therapies aren't just a nice-to-have. They are absolutely life-changing.
Every great story needs a protagonist, right? And in our story, it's a mid-sized German pharmaceutical company. After years and years of late-stage development, they are right on the verge of bringing a powerful new therapy for PID to the European market. They've done the hard science, but now the real battle is about to begin.
And here's their huge problem. They knew competitors were out there, also in the final stages of development, but they had zero concrete intelligence. None. They were essentially flying blind into a storm, totally unable to strategically position their own product for a successful launch.
So how do you get your vision back when you're in a situation like this? Well, this isn't about just doing some simple market research. No. This calls for launching a full-scale intelligence operation to gather real, actionable, competitive intel.
And what's really fascinating here is how they did it. I mean, think of it like a spy's toolkit. First, they scanned all the public intel, the digital breadcrumbs everyone leaves behind in regulatory filings and press releases. Second, they mapped out the entire enemy arsenal, assessing every single late-stage therapy in the pipeline. And finally, and this is the crucial part, they deployed their field agents, conducting interviews with industry experts and sales teams to get that real-time data from the ground.
And this is where the fog finally starts to clear and the picture becomes crystal clear. Let's take a look at what this whole intelligence operation actually dug up, because they weren't just gathering random facts, they were literally decoding their competitors' entire playbooks. Okay, this slide just lays it all out perfectly. On the left, you've got Product XX. They already had their European approval and were immediately hitting the ground running with promotional events to get doctors on board. They were moving fast. But then, look at the right, at Product YY. Their approval was still pending, but get this, they were already targeting doctors and negotiating prices in key markets like Italy and Spain. The race had already started, way before all the runners were officially on the track. You see, the intelligence revealed a pattern, a predictable 4-step launch playbook. Step 1, get regulatory approval. Step 2, lock in your pricing. After that, start reaching out to doctors. And finally, get your product into hospital pharmacies. By figuring out this sequence, our German company could suddenly anticipate their rivals' next moves.
So now, let's see how this all comes together. Because look, gathering intel is one thing, but using it to craft a winning counterattack, that's how you win the game. This is the moment where information becomes a weapon.
Which, of course, brings us to the most important question of all. How does knowing all this stuff actually change the game? How does it take our German company from a position of weakness and uncertainty to one of real strength?
Well, it gave them a massive, game-changing strategic advantage. Suddenly, they could predict what competitors were going to do in key countries. They could tweak their own launch timeline for maximum impact, maybe to get ahead or maybe to avoid a head-on clash. They could precisely adjust their sales force, depending on where the competition was focused. They could even walk into tough pricing negotiations already knowing the entire landscape. Basically, they went from being blind to being almost clairvoyant, turning what was a huge gamble into a calculated billion-dollar checkmate.
But really, this story is bigger than just one company or one drug. It's a peek behind the curtain into a much larger reality. The billion-dollar chess game that defines so much of modern industry.
Yeah, this is not an isolated incident. This kind of strategic battle, fueled by deep intelligence gathering, is happening all the time, right under our noses. It's what shapes the entire healthcare landscape. It decides which medicines become available, when they become available, and even what price we pay for them.
There's a quote from the source material that just hits the nail on the head.
It says that, in a complex and fast-moving market, deep intelligence and proactive planning aren't just helpful, they're the key to gaining a competitive edge. It's the difference between reacting to the market and actually leading it. Which leaves us with one final thought to chew on. In this high-stakes world of developing new therapies and shaping the future of healthcare, maybe, just maybe, the most powerful drug of all isn't some molecule in a lab, but the information you have that your competitor doesn't.